Hey guys, wanted to start this video, I guess, with just a little bit of an encouragement to every single one of you out there watching. For years now, I've been sharing with you guys my thoughts, my experiences, things that me and Pops have been doing on the property, from hinge cutting to bedding corridors to working in beds, to planning food plots, location discussions, land tours, just all kinds of different stuff. And it's all been on normal properties. I own 22 acres. The homestead property is 9. I'm about as real as you can get. And I understand there's a lot of guys out there that are in my position. You know, I've harvested some awesome bucks. Junior is one of the biggest, maturest bucks I've killed. Didn't score amazing, but he was a great mature deer. I've shot a really old deer. Maybe I'll try to throw up a photo. And honestly, guys, I always just targeted the top 15 to 20% of deer in my area. And that's always been somewhere in that 120 to 140 range. I honestly had never killed a buck over 140. I've hunted a few. And Junior, if he hadn't busted off his left beam, probably would have hit it. But, you know, and I was killing deer that a lot of people would be proud of in my area. I was hunting the top 15% of the deer in my area, and I think that's what we all have to realize is we have to hunt our respective areas. If I was in Iowa, it'd be a whole different ballgame. If I was in Kansas, it'd be a whole different ballgame. If I was hunting humongous properties here in Indiana, even in certain areas, it'd be a different ballgame. But I say all this to encourage each and every one of you that every single thing that you do that's thought out and planned and for the deer ups your chances. Maybe it's only 0.25% here, 1% there, but every single thing that you do ups those odds. And I actually made this image the other day and I posted it on social media. And I believe I shared it to Facebook. But it's a picture of Cicero. And I felt like this was one of the best ways to start this story. And I hope it's an encouragement to you. And I hope every single person watching this is encouraged by the fact that you put in the work. I'm not guaranteeing at the end of your road there's going to be a Cicero like mine was. But I also guarantee you I did not expect or see this coming. While I had confidence that I could kill him, and that I could execute my plan, I never would have bet that on my 22 acres I would have a deer of this caliber. But it's about embracing the journey, and I'll just read it. It's a picture of Cicero on the ground with the words "embracing the journey" beneath it. It's the long hours spent with a chainsaw, the sweat dripping in your eyes after hours of work, soil tests, high quality seed, fertilizer. Taking the smart route, not the easiest. It's doing it legal and the right way. It's the countless hours studying trail cam pictures. It's time spent with Pops. It's about embracing everything and thanking God. Let's get this story started on Cicero. Small Acre Hunting's 2018 Embrace the Journey is brought to you in partnership with Real World Wildlife Products, Radix Trail Cameras, and Treehopper LLC. So in an effort to not make this last forever, we'll tackle a lot of the things in the future episodes and maybe in the off season explaining what all the things were that I feel like led to Cicero doing and being where he was. But let's just say he had consistently, from the time late velvet and especially after he dropped his velvet, he had laid claim to that clover chicory plot area. All the bedding around it, it seemed to be one of his favorite places to go. And I just had to wait. I didn't earn an urban buck tag before October 1st, did not drop an antlerless deer, so there was no hunting him in mid to late September like I could have if I had dropped a doe or an antlerless deer. October 1st hit, and it was the first time I could go hunt him, and I didn't. I didn't hunt opening day. I didn't hunt October 2nd, but I was looking forward on the calendar and the weather app, and I noticed that there was a front moving through that Thursday. The temp was going to drop roughly about 15 to 20 degrees depending on what it ended up doing, and I really wanted to get up the stand Thursday because there's one thing about this stand that's very unique. I usually don't have many stands that have this feature, and that's the fact that it needs an easterly wind. We get predominantly west and north winds. I would say 80% of our hunting winds are like that. However, it may be less than 80, but however, whenever I get easterly winds, I always seem to get good deer activity. So this stand kind of sets west of the clover chicory plot. There's bedding to the north of it. There's bedding to the east across the clover chicory, and there's bedding to the south of it. And we slide in from the west. It's along a little hedge tree line, brush row along the edge there. And couldn't go October 4th, so the first day I could make it out was October 5th. We're talking about 20 to 28 hours after a front moved through. It was still decently cold compared to what it had been. It was in the 60s. And it had rained overnight and into the morning a little bit, and even into the mid-morning. And I knew I had to get out of work and get to the tree. So I think I left work around noon or 1 o'clock. Got home and the whole plan started falling together. And we'll go from there. So what we got, guys, is the day after a front moved through. It's Friday, October 5th. And yesterday the temp dropped about 20 degrees. I wanted to be out here, but I had a prior commitment, couldn't get out. So it's about 2:30, 2:45 right now. There's a chance of rain the rest of the evening, so I'm not going to take the main camera that I'm recording with right now. I'm going to take my GoPro, which I think I have, and I'm going to take a backup handy cam. The handy cam is one that I don't really care about much, so it's not going to break my heart if it rains and it ruins it. But it will allow me to record some. The Golden Knight is mainly Bertier or Cicero. Both of those bucks. I've been using that clover all year long. We're going to be set up on that clover fruit plot. And just hope that something comes. There's a couple scrapes over there. With this rain that happened this morning, I'm hoping something gets up and decides it needs to go freshen up the scrape. That's the plan of attack, at least. I'm gonna go ahead and get ready. God bless. Hey guys, I gotta use my phone. I'm gonna make this real quick. We got in, or I got in. Nothing jumped. I don't think I alerted my presence to anything. So getting in here, not jumping anything, is huge and crucial. Because there literally could be a buck bedded 50, 60 yards from me right now. I'm only up about 14 feet, probably at the most. If I stand, I can slip an arrow to the far trail that's about 35 yards away. But the likelihood of something walking that trail slow enough for me to get time to get set is tough. So my main shots are right here in the clover on the scrape that's 25 yards away, or on the oats chicory that I planted a strip along this edge. You can tell the deer have been hitting the chicory that was in that blend. Like, there's no chicory that's matured at all. It's crazy. They love that stuff. And I planted it heavy. Just gotta hope that after the rain, this scrape, some bucks want to hit it up, refreshing it, and they'll come knowing that there's food right here too. Oats, chicory, and clover. So the only thing we don't have over here that's on the property are the turnips and brassicas and stuff, and that's on the other side. So we'll see what happens. Fingers crossed. One of them walks out. Just shot Cicero. He was 11 yards, and he wasn't gone and out of sight more than 2-3 seconds, and I heard a crash. So, fingers crossed, fellas, that was him. Thank you, Jesus. I cannot believe this. The one night I come with the cheap camera over my head and my action cam. I don't know if this is the only camera that would have got the shot. I checked that. He was just out of screen on it. Alright, so this is really bright in my face, but hopefully this is gonna work. I can't get the light on the camera to work, so I'm using a headlamp. Just shot Cicero. It's probably been about an hour now total. Couldn't get it on footage, of course, as we all know. The one time I don't take the expensive camera, which I'm filming with right now, because of the rain possibility. I took the cheap camera, set it up to where most of my shot opportunities were gonna be. Really, there was just 2 spots that I couldn't get that on camera, and of course, the one would be the 11-yard shot over the tree right beside the stand, and that was where I ended up shooting him. But I'm forcing myself to wait right now. The shot looked great, so what happened was I actually heard some twigs behind me, and he couldn't have been bedded very far. I'm happy it rained today. I took my time getting in. That was crucial and huge. It probably took me about 20 minutes to get from the fence, to cross the fence to the stand and up, just because of how quiet I wanted to be. Not having the camera equipment to set up may have actually saved me, because there's a couple spots that I know he beds within earshot of, you know, if a buckle hits a strap or the stand and that tang, he could have just decided he wasn't going to do this. So he came out probably about 20 minutes before I shot him. And I'm hoping the GoPro that I had on my head got some images of him. I don't know if it did. I did flip the handy cam on, but he acted like he was behind me, and he came out of that trail and he was feeding on the clover, and then he acted like he was going to go north and actually hook around to where he actually ran away from me. I actually got nervous enough, and he's at 14, 15 yards right there, and there was a little hole probably about the size of a volleyball, and I actually drew and tried to get in there and situate it, but there were so many vines and everything, my quiver was hitting something, and I was like, you know what, he's too special of a deer. I had to pull back out of those vines, go to the front, let down. When I let down, my arrow actually got off the nock, and surprisingly, he didn't even raise his head. He took 3 or 4 more steps away from me, behind me, to the northeast, and then I just started saying a prayer. I don't know, I don't know, I mean, but I literally opened my eyes and he took a step back. He like literally spun, and then something caught his attention down through well beyond me. Then he decides he's gonna walk this way. So I have all this cover in that stand right there where he's walking at like 14, 15 yards. And I actually get ready to draw a couple times, but then he stops. He actually eats a leaf off of my apple tree. Not happy about that. He then starts walking like he's gonna walk, you know, 15, 16, 17 yards and head towards that scrape tree right down the clover. He gets to a point and I draw sitting down, thinking I'm gonna have, you know, I'm sitting here, perfect, 16-yard shot expected, and I'm just waiting. But he doesn't go that way. He actually turns and heads directly towards the edge of the woods, and this is where we did that 6-foot wide strip. We tilled one strip and planted chicory and oats real heavy in there. He starts feeding on that. So here I am at draw, full draw. This felt like eternity, but it was probably just a couple minutes. But I know in my mind, I was like, he's oblivious. He doesn't know I'm here. I'm gonna stand up because I know I can shoot him. I could see everything except for the kill area. I could see the back of his, I could see about 6 inches down from the back of him. And so I raised up, Pops is here now. I raised up, stood up, and he was quartering to me just slightly, but I felt like I could tuck it in there. He was more broadside than quartering to. And I shot it. It went clean through him, stuck in the ground, looked great. He ran north and then east away from me, and I heard a big crash. Clean pass through, feel really good about it. The only thing that has me worried slightly is I may have missed that opposite lung just because of the quartering nature of him, but he was more broadside than quartering. I heard that fall. I think he's dead, so we're gonna get after him here in a second. I'm missing an arrow.
Must have fell out.
No, I only took 3 with me.
Well, yeah, the one's in the deer.
Gosh,
Did he just show up all of a sudden?
Yeah. He came in. Well,
one doozy, man.
Here we go. We found him. The shot was not quite what I thought. Judging from the camera, I haven't checked out the GoPro footage yet, but I must have pulled it up a little bit higher. It actually entered, so I was aiming here. I'm probably 4 inches higher from the angle of the tree. It's about 6 on his body, but it was higher here. We'll have to, when we cut him open, we'll find out. I may have gotten top of the lungs there, don't you think? Could have.
I think there's a good chance.
Good chance, a top lung here, and then where the exit was, looks like I may probably clip the liver. But we found, at most, 3 droplets of blood the entire way. There was blood at the arrow impact point, and then we were literally tracking hoof prints to find this guy. There was 0 blood. We were about right where Dad is when I found him. I saw some brush over here piled up, and I looked down with my headlamp and saw his nose and then his eyes.
Okay.
So we found him piled up right here, and the hooping and hollering and crying began, and I'm really excited because this is the biggest buck that me and Pops have ever laid down, ever. And this was on the new 22. This was on the property that we've been putting a lot of time and energy and work in. Hopefully we can add some acreage to the east. There is our dream, that Pops can buy some of that, but he's got a bladed left brow. He's got this abnormal, almost like a, this is actually a buck I believe last year had more of a double beam on his right side. But it's actually kind of cool. He's got a split G2 over here, because that's definitely not a shared, or that's not a separate base. That actually shares a base. I bet you it'll score as an abnormal point. Turn it so you can see that a little bit better. But he's just got a ton of junk going on here. Got a knock in his ear. He is a brute of a buck. He's probably the biggest bodied buck I've killed, biggest antlered buck I've killed, and was the most unique tracking job we've ever had. That was the least amount of blood we have ever experienced.
By far.
By far.
Yep.
I mean, it was, Pops is like a bloodhound with his nose, and I usually read the sign when the blood runs out, so we were just following steps. For the first time in a blood tracking job, I was more valuable.
Yep. That's fantastic.
We're gonna get this beast out of here.
Man, look at that.
Probably rough score him tonight and see what happens.
Congratulations. That is awesome.
He is a giant. I have
Yes,
a taxidermy bill.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
Well, there you have it. That's the story and the hunt for Cicero. A buck that in 2016, 2017, I didn't even bother naming. Didn't really see the odds were in our favor. He never hung around the property long. He would just swoop in and swoop out. It was very clear and evident that he was living elsewhere. However, when 2017 rolled around, the end of 2017, as I set up the tree stand, I was looking out at the bedding areas and I knew I had to make a change. I had to start sculpting them, make them more usable. Hinge cut along the edges for corridors. I've even posted some of those videos this year on that very spot, the edge of that bedding area where I hinged cut high, made openings for them, and provided a more cover-rich edge against that clover. That's just one of the things. We also went in and sculpted some hallways, if you will, some bedrooms in there as well. And I don't know, for whatever reason, Cicero latched on to those things. You see, we provided bedding, we provided food, we provided water, but above all else, we provided security. And moving forward, I hope to touch on a little bit more just what that entails and what I mean by providing security to the deer. Because you can provide everything. You can provide food, you can provide water, and you can provide bedding. But if they don't feel safe, none of that matters. It mattered to Cicero. We have countless pictures and videos of him in the days after he shed his velvet, extremely active on the property. He seemed to never leave at times. So with most recent intel, the weather front moving through, the wind shift, the rain that happened that morning and overnight prior to this hunt, everything pointed to the fact that although it was October 5th, my chances of killing him if I slipped in undetected were so high I could not ignore it. I did not think this would play out. If you'd have told me at the end of 2017 that a buck of this caliber, of this size, I would have the chance to release an arrow on, I would think you're joking, or I would think I must be going to Iowa here this next year. I'm just a normal guy, like a lot of you watching this. And hopefully this is a little bit of an encouragement to you. I deal with high pressure areas, I deal with small acres, and we do all we can to up our chances at a mature whitetail. I try to hunt the top 15-20% of the bucks in my area. This buck just happened to be in the top 5, if not the top 1%. It's an incredible journey, and hopefully it was entertaining to you. Hopefully next time I'll get a little bit more of the hunt on footage. It just so happened that the first time in over a year and a half, I didn't take my camera equipment with me. At least not my main stuff. But hopefully it was still entertaining, and moving forward, hopefully it can be something that I continue to draw education from, and hopefully help those watching learn from my experiences as well in the hunt for Cicero. If you're watching this video, be sure to check out the Habitat podcast. I actually sat down late Sunday night with Jared at Habitat Podcast and recorded the entire story of Cicero, and we touch on a lot of things that this video doesn't even cover. So be sure to slide on over to the Habitat Podcast on Facebook or on their website and check out that episode. I think that's all I got for now, guys. Hopefully the 2018 season is good to you as it's been good to me, and I'm not done yet. I actually have the chance to earn a second buck in an urban zone in Indiana here, so fingers crossed. This might be the first year I down 2 bucks in Indiana. Normally you only can take 1, but these urban zones kind of open up an option that I've never had before. We'll see. If I do, I'll be sure to bring the story to you. In the meantime, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the Facebook page, and share it with all your friends. It means a lot. This is Ty, Small Acre Hunting. God bless, and good luck out there.